Dealing with losses is the thing that's changed, in that it was easier on the sim to weather a loss.
Since joining Axia, I mean, it's night and day, really. Like, you can't compare.
I wouldn't say it consumes you, but it kind of does.
Hey trader, welcome back. Mike here coming at you from the Axia London trading floor. And today I've got an exclusive series of interviews from 3 of our newest traders. Today, you're going to get a chance to get an inside scoop on what it's like being a junior trader on the Axia trading floors. They're going to talk about the challenges they've faced, how they've developed their routines, and what the differences are in being a spread trader and being an outright trader. Let's have a listen.
I'm a spread trader, so I trade mostly short-term interest rates. And the main one, well, the local market in the UK is SONIA, or short sterling. So I typically trade around the hours that market is open. So it opens at 7:30 a.m. and closes at 6 p.m. So a typical day is being in the office at my desk before that market opens. So, getting in around 7, 7:15, and being across what is coming up for the day. So key data points, figures, speakers, and that kind of thing. It's really just being ready for the day and making sure I'm dialed in to what's coming up. And yeah, it's essentially being at my screen all day, watching the price action, watching orders go through the market, understanding what's happening, getting in and out of positions, and a lot of monitoring existing positions.
Adam highlights the importance of deliberate observation and market timing awareness. When it comes to something like the STRS market, one has to be very dialed in on when those markets are going to experience price shifts, right? Repricing in those markets doesn't happen often, but when it does, you have to have understood the flows as they change every day. Sometimes what can happen as well is while you're waiting for those big moves to come, you start over trading and over anticipating. Let's hear how Nick manages that in the outright space.
For me, over trading is an issue. So what I've tried to do is put a few barriers in place that I sort of physically have to jump over in order to enter a trade. So I've written up a checklist of different layers that I need to see before I'm entering a trade, or at least I need to tick as many boxes as I can. And just going through that process of, before I take a trade, ticking the box, is the volume good? Like, am I playing with the trend? Or, is this specific setup that I've got listed here? Just adds that extra layer of time that, assuming it's not a trade that you need to jump into straight away, it just helps me to stay disciplined and stay in my process.
Nick's experience with overtrading emphasizes the importance of process over profit. Many of our elite traders realize that as soon as they stop focusing on profit and focused on process, like an athlete focuses on being 1% better every day, that's when the big wins come, right? That's when the championship comes, is when you make subtle changes and subtle adaptations as you go along. Now, you're not going to know when those big opportunities are going to come, right? And for spread traders, it can even take longer. Let's have a listen as how Tim handles that waiting process.
My daily routine is, we are looking at curves mostly, right? On various different assets. So spreads don't move as much as outrights. Sometimes though, you have very big moves in short periods of time, right? So you're basically looking into various different assets. You're trying to understand where each asset is. Sometimes you just come in and you look at things and they're where they were the day before, right? And then you look into other markets, right? But you're basically screening through the markets, looking whether a trade might build up. In spread trading, some of these trades you can see coming.
As Tim pointed out, certain spreads won't experience a repricing for many days or maybe even a month. Now, where does the accountability to remain patient and not overtrade yourself into a hole? It comes from your team. It comes from the people on your floor who are creating a collective mindset that guides you all into that moment of significance where you need to be ready to strike. Now let's hear from Adam, from his experience being alone in Sydney trading FX to being in the London office with live London traders with a collective experience that he can now expand and accelerate his learning from.
Like all type of trading, it's you've got to want it. You've got to want to be a trader. You've got to have a genuine interest, a genuine passion in trading. You have to be self-aware. You have to be disciplined. The market will humble you. The market's always right. You know, like any type of trading, but specifically with spread trading, I would say we here at Axia, we work quite closely as a group. We have, you know, more eyes on the market, the better. We're always working on ideas and models to find new patterns and ways that we can extract P&L from the market. So I would say to join Axia as a spread trader, you really do need to work well with a team and really just leave your ego at the door. Work well with your peers, and we're all here to make money. It's competitive, absolutely, but we're all here to help each other and make money.
As Adam described, competition is still very much present on the floor. However, it fuels adaptation, it fuels accountability, and it fuels consistency. And Adam describes what it takes to leave the ego at the door and come in with humility and focus in being successful as a team, not just as an individual. Think of it like a collective mentorship. We all know how hard it is to learn and understand what moves the markets, let alone when we should be sizing up, how we should be managing risk, and when we should be prepared for what could be a bigger move. Let's listen in on Nick's experience on the live trading floors on how he accelerated things like risk management, sizing up, and being more tactical with his approach.
Trying to make sure that I'm adapting to new conditions. So I think if I could offer any advice, it would just be really honest with yourself about where your edge is. And are you in a phase where your edge is like very much in sync with the markets and it might be time to like up your size and it might be time to be more aggressive? Or are you in a phase where actually you might need to learn something new, adapt to new markets, in which case it might be time to size down?
As Nick described, it's critical to know when your edge is in play and what environment caters best to your execution. But how are you going to define that without having deep, deliberate immersion? Depending on whether you're a spread trader or an outright trader, the most important focus is to be immersed, to capture deliberately, and to organize deliberately, so that once you've collected all that information with the passing of time, you are then able to express trade ideas that are built on that consistent immersion and intense focus. Now let's listen in on how Tim's experience has been different from Nick's in terms of spread versus outright in developing his edge and in learning to be immersed in the market deliberately.
You need to be 100% into it. So the markets eventually, you're spending so much time doing this, and so much things that you're spending time on will not lead to anything, right? So that goes back to the growth mindset. You can't be discouraged from it. You need to be 100% into it. That goes back to the routine, right? You're shaping your day around the markets, right? In spread trading, things can go off after hours quite a few times on low volume, right? I would say over time, because the market gives you so much information and you're so much into the market, it's almost like, I wouldn't say it consumes you, but it kind of does. And you becoming part of that market, especially if you want to go into the 7-figure ranges, this has to be a part of your life, and it will be a significant part of your life.
As you can see, it literally becomes a part of your life. Like any great athlete and any great achiever, you must immerse yourself deliberately. Whether it's losses testing your discipline or your ability to stay composed during a stressful trading environment, Tim describes how critical it is to be fully engaged and almost consumed by the market movements day in and day out. That said, one of the biggest challenges that these juniors had to face was transitioning from their simulated evaluation trading accounts over to the live market environment. This was a critical test of psychology, emotions, and the ability to stay composed while being around other live traders who were going through the same thing. Let's listen in on how Nick's experience was with that transition.
Dealing with losses is the thing that's changed, in that it was easier on the sim to weather a loss and to just crack on and say like, okay, answer those questions that we just asked about. Oh, is the strategy working? Yes, should still work. Okay, we'll just keep going with it. I think you tend to second guess yourself more when you start losing real money. And equally, when you make real money, it's then easier to sort of get ahead of yourself. So I think just trying to remain level-headed has been the main challenge and the main thing that I've had to think about while going live.
Given the experience that Nick described going through while he transitioned from simulated trading to live trading, I wanted to also get an understanding of how Adam experienced transitioning from being alone in Sydney trading FX to being on the floors with that collective experience here in London.
Yeah, since joining Axia, I mean, it's night and day, really. Like, you can't compare. So I was, trading currencies as a retail trader back home in Sydney before moving over to the UK to join Axia. And it's night and day. Trading on your own as a retail trader without any support, mentorship, without a professional environment around you, in my opinion, is essentially impossible to succeed, or near impossible to succeed. So, back then when I was trading as a retail trader, involved, trading more emotionally, finding different strategies and not being, it's just difficult to be consistent if you're sort of chopping and changing, blowing up, prop trading accounts left, right, and center. So yeah, since joining Axia, a lot more discipline, just a completely different and professional approach. And that's from being around so many high caliber traders. So you come into the office, you see everybody's here at a certain time, first thing in the morning. They're all prepped, ready to go. You get involved in the discussions before a big figure like the US CPI or an FOMC event, and you see the diligence in preparation of everyone here and the seriousness that they take their trading in their careers. And yeah, that you just can't help but that to rub off on you, being surrounded by essentially elite traders. The best traders, the future traders in the world are here at Axia.
So there you have it, folks. An inside scoop as to what life is like as a junior trader, whether you're spread, outright, or anything else you might be delving into. It's all about that discipline, and most importantly, finding yourself a collective group, whether it's a virtual live trading floor or an in-person live trading floor, to accelerate your learning and your path to success. See you in the next one.